Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you guys are tuning in to the broadcast. I am your international award-winning author, filmmaker, and empowerment specialist, Toneal Jackson, and I want to welcome you all to an all new Get Educated, Get Empowered with Toneal. Today we are talking about professional development. You know, that's what I do on Thursdays, but our topic specifically is how to be your best professional self. Hello, yours truly. As you guys are coming on, whether through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or even listening on Noon Vibe, I do ask that you speak to me. These are our rules of our protocol. So you say hello so that way I can speak back. Number two, if you're watching, please be sure to like and share the video and then tag somebody that you believe would benefit from this broadcast. Who would benefit from today's show? Anyone who is looking to level up in corporate America, anyone who is launching their own business. So if you are trying to, and I'll say this, anyone who actually is interested in self improvement tips, right? Because even though we're talking about how to be your best professional self, and I am going to give you 3 tips. So today's show, I'm going to give you 3 tips. So if you do not already have a notebook handy, you may want to go and grab a quick notebook. But we're going to give you 3 tips for how to be your best professional self. And so again, let's just give a quick background. Educated and empowered. What do? We equip you with the information and inspiration to be your best self, personally, professionally, socially, and even there are going to be times where I might drop in some spiritual nuggets too, right? So if you're looking to be better, if you are inspired to improve, then you are going to want to be connected to educated and empowered. It is more than just a podcast. There is an entire enterprise, right? I will be officially launching membership on next Friday, November 1st. But as it stands, you can go to the Facebook page and you can like that page, follow that page. And when you do that, then we'll be able to get your email address and you'll be signed up to receive our newsletters. Every week you receive 2 newsletters. One on Tuesday is to educate you about any events and opportunities that I have coming up for you, any sales, any deals, any of that stuff. That's what you're educated on Tuesdays. And then on Thursdays, like today, you're going to be empowered. There's going to be a newsletter that you're going to receive that's going to give you some type of lit life advice. And so when we talk about lit life, I am a coach. And so, you know, one of the things I help you do is learn how to live a lit life, right? So learn how to live a lit life. That's what I meant to say. So those of you, I'm not as active in the literary world as I was, but there's still so much I did, right? So those of you who might be looking to write books and you need help and guidance with that, that's where the lit coaching come from. And then beyond that, I am a life coach. So that's where we come with the term lit life coaching. And so in either case, the point is when you follow me across social media platform, which you can do, I am at educated and empowered, the number 2 across the board. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and on Noon Vibe. You can find me there. And like I say, you will receive the newsletters, but we are going to be launching our membership on next Friday. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you access to all of the various products, services, sponsorship opportunities, events, and then also ultimately our subscription products. So we have books, movies, music, webinars, apparel, courses, master classes. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of things that we put together that is solely purposed to help you be your best self. And again, whether that is personally, professionally, or socially. And so on Tuesdays, the podcasts are typically geared toward personal growth. And then on Thursdays, we are talking about professional development. And so on today, what we're going to be talking about is, hey, Mayville, thank you so much for tuning in. But what we're going to be talking about on today is how to be your best professional self, right? So again, whether you are in corporate America and you are looking to level up, or you are an entrepreneur starting your own business, these tips are interchangeable. This is something that will be able to be applicable in either realm. And so let's go ahead and get started. You guys know I value your time as you all come on. There's always the possibility to rewind it. So that way you can always go back and see it if you come in a little late. But let's talk about what it is that we need to be our best professional self, right? So, in other words, when we are, whether it is co-workers, whether it's clientele, customers, supporters, whatever it is you want to say, if I am in corporate America, what's going to help me be my best self there, what's going to help me to level up, what's going to help me to stand out from a crowd, right? And the same thing with the entrepreneur. So I want you to kind of think about the fact that, just because you are working for someone else, you still have to look at yourself as being in business for yourself, right? So yes, you may work for someone else, and I don't care what level it is. This isn't just C-level advice. I don't care if you're working at McDonald's or Walmart or Target. I don't care if you are an administrator. I don't care if you are the owner of the business. Because at the end of the day, every level, no matter the industry, most people are coming in wanting to move up, right? Even if you are an owner, you're wanting to expand. And again, this is generic. If that's not you, then this isn't for you. But if you're like, man, because I done been at this company for 6 months and I'm trying to figure out how to level up, you have to think of yourself as your own business. You have to think of yourself. So yes, there is somebody else that's paying you, but still there are certain things, certain qualities that you want to possess that will help you to stand out from the crowd. Now, let me give you a quick example and we're going to delve right in. So when my daughter, I remember my oldest daughter, she's 22 now. But when my oldest daughter was starting high school, I remember when she first started, she was, in terms of class rank, she was in the top five, right? I want to say she was number five. She was either number three or five. I think she might have been number five when she first started. And so she was like, but mama, all of these other, because it was all girls that were the top five. And she was like, these other girls, they are super duper smart. I don't know how in the world I'm going to be able to do any better than what I've already done, right? And so I told her, I said, let me tell you what I know. Her mama graduated valedictorian from high school, so I can tell her what I know, right? So I told her, I said, you're a freshman now. All you have to do is just continue to have an incredible work ethic like what you already do. Continue to show up, continue to put your best foot forward, because most times when you do that, that's going to automatically have you stand out above the bulk of people, right? The fact that if you're able to be consistent, that's going to already have you outshine many people, because a lot of people know how to start really well. A lot of people know how to hit it hard. They come in, all guns ablaze and all of that stuff, right? But then over time, they lose focus. Over time, they lose drive, they lose stamina, they lose interest, they're no longer motivated, right? So it's like when I first come into whatever the place is, in this example at school, when I first come into the place, like I'm all types of motivated because this is a new atmosphere. I don't know these people, and so I'm totally compelled to do my best and be my best. But then there is a point where people reach a sense of complacency and they're comfortable now. So it's like, I don't really have to work as hard. I don't really have to bring as much to the table. I don't really have to do. So when you get those people, you're automatically going to outshine them just by being able to remain consistent, just by doing the things that you naturally do, you're going to outshine them because you continue to do what they once did. Hey, Jason. Hey, Cecilia. Hey, Teresa. You're continuing to do what they once did that they're no longer doing, right? So all you really have to do is just be your best self all the time, because and that's not even one of my tips, y'all. Again, this is just sharing, but consistency is, the average person struggles with being consistent consistently, right? A lot of people can pop up, oh, you need me to do this once a quarter so I can show up once every 3 months. I can give you 1,000% once a year. But the average person struggles with being consistent consistently. And so if you can show up in whatever space, right? So this is personally, professionally, socially, spiritually, whatever. If you can show up consistently, you've already beat so many people who are, and again, everything isn't necessarily competition, but because this is professional, this part is. But you will outshine, you will stand out to people just because they know that you are a consistent personality, just because they know, hey, if Toneal say she's going to do blah blah blah, she's going to do blah blah blah. Because there are a lot of people who give their word all the time and they never show up. There are a lot of people that say they're going to write a book and never write it. There are a lot of people that say they're going to launch a product and never do it. There are a lot. So when you are able to go down in people's minds as being that person that, hey, every time they say they're going to do this, they do that, then that already again has you standing out for the crowd. So that's a free one, y'all. That's not even one of the 3 tips, but be consistent. Being consistent, always showing up, always following through. When you say you're going to do it, do it. That's going to automatically have you in a position that puts you above, I won't say all, but many. Okay. So again, if you're just now tuning in today, we're talking about how to be your best self. And I'm about to go right now into the 3 tips. So one of the first, and this is in no particular order, right? So this is not necessarily a domino effect. So whether you do 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, it does not matter. But these are 3 things, again, regardless as to whether or not you are in a workforce or whether or not you're starting your own business. These are 3 qualities that you want to possess to be your best professional self. The first one I want to talk about is drive, right? DRIVE, drive. And I ain't talking about a vehicle, y'all, but you have to have ambition. You have to have, because when you have ambition, when there is something that you want to do. So again, when I'm talking about drive, I mean determination, I mean persistence, I mean ambition. So you have identified what your goals are. And y'all know I hate talking about goals, and maybe that might be another video that we do, goals versus plans. But for this talk, it'll work. You've identified what it is that you're wanting to do, right? You said, hey, in the next 6 months, I want to do blah, blah, blah. In the next 2 years, this is what I want my life to look like, or this is where I want to be. Once you establish those things, so first of all, you need to do that. And I believe that it's your ambition that helps you to map out what I call, as a life coach, your business blueprint, right? So, or your basic blueprint for success, however you want to say it. No matter what you are accomplishing in life, there is a blueprint for it, and you are the master of your life, right? So you have to be the one, and y'all, this ain't the spiritual one, so we ain't talking about God first, whatever. We're talking about this is in the natural. So you are the one who is in control of what happens to you. And so you cannot afford to live life just so spontaneously that you never know what's going to happen next. You never know, well, we'll just wake up and see what happens. Well, if you're just waking up to see what happens, well, there'll be some days you feel like doing it and some days you don't feel like it, right? So, but what drive does, if there is, I'm going to take a particular job, and maybe the job that I take isn't because this is my life's work, but taking this job is going to be a stepping stone to get me to where I'm ultimately trying to go. Does that make sense? So the point that I'm making is, Drive, it is what that ambition, that's what's going to keep you motivated. That's what's going to keep you going. So that let's say in the corporate world, you're working a job. Maybe you don't like your coworker. Okay, but guess what? I'm not coming here for you. I'm coming here for whatever reasons I've already identified. And so that's also another free one. Identify your why. I tell y'all that across the board, no matter what it is, make sure you know why you're doing what you're doing. Why is that necessary? Because somewhere along the line, child, let me tell you, somewhere along the line, you gonna get unmotivated, you gonna get frustrated, you gonna get tired. Somewhere along the line, somebody gonna tell you that they will have told you that they're going to do something that they actually never do. Your boss will say, well, you know what, if you keep this going in 3 months, we're going to get you a raise. And then maybe you don't actually get that raise. Somebody going to tell you, hey girl, when you launch that book, I'm going to be there. Just call me and let me know. You call them and let them know, and they don't show up. So like at the end of the day, you cannot always depend on people. And the goal is that you don't become the person that you can't depend on. If you can't depend on nobody else, you should always be able to depend on you. Can I say that one more time? If you can't depend on nobody else, you should always be able to depend on you, because you cannot get mad at other people for not showing up for you if you are not willing to show up for yourself. Okay, so drive, it is so necessary because that's what's going to keep you going. So you want to identify, what am I looking to accomplish by doing whatever this is? So in having this job, what am I looking to accomplish? And it doesn't have to be nothing over the top. It could just be, hey, I'm trying to establish some type of stability, right? I'm tired of going from job to job. So if I do a good job by showing up every day to this job, then that is going to create stability. It could be, I'm trying to make sure I pay my bills all the time, or I got to pay off whatever this, maybe it's a credit card. I got to pay off this credit card. So I'm going to make sure I need this extra money for the next 6 months. So for at least the next 6 months, I want to make sure that I am showing up because I need to get this done, right? So, whatever your goals are, you need to map those out at the onset, at the very beginning, before you take the job, before you open up the business, before you write the book, whatever it is, you need to know your why, and it needs to be something that you are passionate about. If you don't have drive, it's going to be real hard for you. If you're a person that lacks drive, if you have no ambition, it's going to be hard for you to make it, y'all. And especially, like, can I just be real with you and just make it real cut and dry, real simple? In Chicago, within the next few weeks, it's going to be kind of cold. So if you lack drive, who gonna want to get outside? Who gonna want to get out a nice warm bed to go outside? And again, I don't know where y'all watching and listening from, but everywhere around the world ain't always warm. Chicago, we get into that below zero weather. We get into the wind chill factor and all that type of stuff. Who gonna just naturally want to go out in that, as opposed to just like, I'm good, I'm just stay on, right? Like, drive is what pushes you out, because drive is what says to you, yeah, if I don't go, then I won't get any step closer to what I'm trying to accomplish. So I'm hoping that this makes sense, right? So that's one thing that you need to have. Second thing, and again, this is in no particular order. Second thing, you need to be knowledgeable. So if you are trying to be your best professional self, you need to be knowledgeable. And again, I don't care whether you're working in corporate America. I don't care whether it's a C-level job. I don't care if you a cashier at McDonald's. I don't care if you're opening up your own business. You need to be knowledgeable. Why? Knowledgeable builds or helps to create credibility. When you are doing a job, have you ever went somewhere? Let's start here. Have you ever gone somewhere and you ask somebody for advice? So, matter of fact, nowadays you ain't even gotta go nowhere. Have you ever called somewhere on the phone, whether it was a bank or a customer service number to whatever it is, and they asking you all these questions? You like, Ain't that your job? Ain't you supposed to know that? And yeah, when you talking to people, it might be ironically speaking because they start getting under your skin, and you're like, why am I better at your job than you are? Why do I know more than you do? Right. So again, you might not think that knowledgeability matters, but it really does, because the opposite of that end of the spectrum is when you're talking about somebody who really knows what they're doing. When you're talking about something to somebody and they are able to anticipate what your next question is going to be just because they're that good. So you never even have to get around to asking the question because they've already addressed your issues. And let me tell you, in me working with independent authors, whether it was under the guise of, a publisher, as a mentor, as a coach, like because I've been doing this for so long, I already knew what questions they were going to ask. So, like, typically when we have a discovery call, I'll lay everything out. Like, I want to hear everything that you're saying. Tell me what it is that you are looking for. And then I'm going to answer your question. But I always tell people, make sure you have a notebook because it's overwhelming. It's a lot of information. There are times when people have not done their research, right? And I always tell y'all, do your research. People haven't done their research. And then they'll ask a general question like, how do you publish a book? Are you sure you want to, or what does it take to self-publish, or why should I self-publish instead of go with a traditional publisher? Are you you do know this is only like a 15-minute call, right? And so, but the point that I'm making is, one, as I'm talking to people, people know that I know what I'm talking about. You can talk to somebody and know, like, and especially if you older than, like, say 15, 16, like if you have, when you're talking to somebody, you can tell when they fluffing you, and you can tell when they are legitimately knowledgeable. You can tell when they don't know nothing with two F's, okay? Nuffin. You can tell when they don't know nothing. And it's like, it's hard for me to trust you. And in most businesses, again, regardless of the industry, there is a whole factor called know, like, and trust. So that means that you have to build rapport with people. So I don't care if you work at McDonald's, and if I come to McDonald's and I'm ordering a number two, I'm going to need you to know what a number two is. Don't ask me, oh, did you mean a quarter pounder? Is that a number two? If I said I want a number two, I want whatever number two is. And then not just helping me with what I came in with, but even doing some suggestive selling, right? Hey, this is our special for the day. Did you want to try it? Or I see that you got this. Would you like to add this to your order, right? But if you don't know what's on the menu, then how can you suggest anything to me? How can you ask me what more to get? I don't care if you work in trades, right? So, like, if you work with stocks and I call in and I tell you, hey, I want to buy 2 shares of whatever this company is. Okay, like, it's one thing. Doing your job says, okay, she called in for 2 shares of IBM, just say, I don't know. She called in for 2 shares of Apple. Okay. So doing your job is to give me the 2 shares of Apple that I called in for. But being knowledgeable about your job is to be able to then suggest to say, hey, well, let's look at your entire portfolio, or, you find a way to build rapport with that customer. So then that way they will be comfortable with opening up. Matter of fact, let me give you here's a great example. The other day, my husband and I, we had to go somewhere and we needed a moving van. And so there were some appliances we were buying. We were getting a washer and dryer and what else, like a table or something. But the point is, I knew I needed a truck. So I called, and because we're moving it from this place to this place. So I call, and I'm trying to get a truck or whatever. So in my mind, hey, and matter of fact, I didn't even call y'all. Let me slow the story down and bring it back. I'm online. So I go to U-Haul, find the nearest U-Haul near me, go through all the little paperwork, whatever. So yeah, I want a truck. So to me, since all I'm getting is three pieces of furniture or appliances or whatever you want to call it, since all I need is three things, then I want the smallest, cheapest. I want the smallest, cheapest truck, right? But then as I'm scrolling down the screen, I see that they also offer an appliance dolly. Now, I ain't the one that's moving it. However, that said, I want to make sure though that whoever it is that is moving, that I make it easy on them, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, give me the appliance dolly. Okay, so I ring that up in my little virtual cart. So now it's time to go and to the actual place to go and get the truck, whatever, right? We get there, and the associate, he's like, so he's telling me exactly what I ordered. You got this truck, you got the dolly, you got whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And he said, well, can I ask you a quick question? I'm like, sure. And he said, you got an appliance dolly, so are you getting appliances? And I was like, yeah, I got a washer and dryer. He said, but the truck that you have doesn't have the ramp. So, like, I don't know who's moving it, but you're going to definitely need some extra strength because now you're going to have to hoist it up with the dolly. And I didn't think nothing about that because, again, I'm not moving it. I just call myself being nice, trying to, do the work, the leg work, and getting the stuff ordered. But what he said made sense. So now what ends up happening? We end up upgrading the truck to get in the one because they had the truck that actually had a ramp. So now it made the process a lot smoother, right? And a lot of times where people and it doesn't have to just be a direct sales world, but when you are moving products, where people mess up at is you constantly try to sell costs, and that's a whole different video for another day. You want to sell the fact it's only $20, it's only $5, it's two for 20. You that's not the object of sales. And again, prior to being an entrepreneur, I was in sales for 15 years of my life. The whole point is to get people, you're it's the whole, again, know, like, and trust factor. And the point is that you're listening to what somebody is in need of so that you can be their solution. A lot of times when we're trying to move things, we're trying to do it in a selfish way. Hey, I need you to spend your money on me. But from the customer standpoint, it's a whole lot of stuff that I need to spend my money on. Why am I going to give it to you? So I didn't just, when I went in there was nothing in me that said I want to upgrade my truck order. For what? What? I got three things that's going in this truck. Why do I need a huge truck? But what did he do? Instead of him just giving me what I came in for, he's like, okay, if you need a dolly, appliance dolly at that, then it just kind of makes sense that you will want to have a truck with a ramp. Knowledgeability, because again, I've gone to U-Haul before and I've dealt with associates that all they do is go over my order, read me what I rung up, and then they say, here is X amount of dollars not paid, and then I'm out the door. But when you're knowledgeable about the process, when you're knowledgeable about the products, when you're knowledgeable about whatever the field is that you're working in, even if your business is your field, then you learn how to be able to maneuver. You learn how to present information. You learn how to really be a solution for your customer base or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Because again, you're trying to be your best professional self, right? So what you want to do is teach yourself all the ins and outs. I don't care if it's a part of your training or not, right? Like, because a lot of times, again, if we're in corporate America, a lot of times we don't want to take the time to learn because we're like, nobody, hey, Nicole, because we'll say, well, nobody is paying me to learn this. Okay. Well, even though technically you may not be being paid through training to learn this, you will end up losing monies that you could bank if this was stuff that you knew. I can't tell you again, I have worked in so many different areas of sales. One of the things I did for a few years, I used to work at Radio Shack, and I was number 5 in the district, or in the district or in the region for selling warranties. And people would always ask me, well, how are you able to sell warranties? How can you sell this many warranties? Everything, I don't care if it's a remote control or antenna, obviously cell phones and stuff too. So obviously your higher end products, but definitely even those smaller items, I would sell. And people say, well, how do you, number one, I I know what a warranty is because everything that I buy with a warranty. So it's easy for me to come across as being genuine and authentic because I'm telling you why I buy one. So, I can talk to you on that level and you can see that I'm not just saying this just to say it. Number two, I did the research. I understood what the benefits were in having not just, okay, because most people say, well, it's only a $10 remote, so why don't I want to get a warranty? Okay, so now because I can tell you based off statistics, you know what, this remote typically has certain problems. That's the reason why it's $10. So I would actually recommend that you get a better quality one. But if you want to do this, because I understand your budget is what your budget is, and I ain't ask you to spend no more coins, then I would recommend, so that you don't end up having to get that $50 antenna, that instead of just spending $10, you spend an extra three, and then you get the remote. Then what we'll do is replace it for you for free. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, when you do things like that, you are showing that you're concerned not just about, okay, well, I need this warranty because it's going to help my bottom dollar or my bottom line or my rank or my stat. No, this is going to help the customer. And if I didn't have that knowledge, and then guess what ends up happening? We start talking about other things. So now I've built that rapport of not, know, like, and trust. So now, because I didn't try to sell them something that they didn't come in looking for, because I didn't try to sell them something that they didn't want, didn't need, wasn't in the budget for, just trying to push it on them, like, now there's a respect factor. So I ultimately end up getting a repeat customer. Now, understand, this same process can work in any industry. When you are knowledgeable, you are able to present information to people, because most of the time when people come to you, they don't know. So when I'm dealing with customers, or in my case here, with, as a publisher, when I'm dealing with clients who've never published before, like, I do not just sign a client. I don't care if it's a publishing client, a coaching client. Like, I do not, because one of the things I've learned is that all money is not good money, and everybody is not worth the hassle or the headache. You hear me? And so, so my point just is that when you get to a place that you're not chasing money, when you get to a place that you are genuinely good at what you do, and you genuinely want to help other people, because also understand that you got some clients that's scammers, right? They always want to talk about businesses that's scammers, but that's a whole nother video for another day. Focus, y'all. So number two, the second thing is knowledgeability. So I hope that you guys understand why being knowledgeable is an asset if you are trying to be your best professional self. So no matter, again, whether you are working at McDonald's, baby, memorize that menu left, right, backwards, forward. If you're working in the stock exchange, memorize all the stock, memorize it all. Know what you do. If you are working for yourself, know what it is that you offer to people. Know your website. Know what people gonna see when they go to your website. Like, these might sound like basic things, but you would be surprised how many times when you talk to people, they don't really sound like they know what they're talking about. And guess what? If you don't really sound like you know, and I know I don't know, then I'm probably going to go to somebody else who seems like they know at least a little bit more than you. Thank you so much for sharing, Nicole. And so let's go to the third one. And right before we go to the third one, let's do this again. If you are just now tuning in, today we are talking about how to be your best professional self. I'm giving you 3 different tips that you can implement. And again, it matters not whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are working in corporate America, McDonald's, Walmart. It don't matter what the level of job is. These are skill sets. These are qualities, traits that you need to possess, and it will help you to level up. So the first one we discussed was drive. Why ambition, determination, all that. Why is that important? Why is it necessary? Then I just got finished talking about knowledge ability, why it is that you need to know your business. And then the last one I want to give is marketability. You want to be marketable, okay? So in the workforce, the reason why you want to be marketable, why that's helping you to be your best professional self, is because, okay, let's say it's you and it's your coworker. You guys have both been there, the same, whatever the job is, you've been at this same job the same amount of time. However, your coworker has been going to different work events, they've been networking, they've been doing additional trainings that were offered, they've been going to, retreats, they've been basically equipping themselves with more knowledge. They've been learning a lot more about the company, more about the employees. So they have really engulfed themselves in it. So now, guess what? When it comes time to offer a promotion, if you hear, okay, well, here's a promotion that's being offered, and it comes down between you and your coworker, well, you just come to work every day. So does your coworker. But in addition to coming to work every day, your coworker also does all the things that I just named. And so when they do that, guess what? It makes them stand out in the crowd. Here's another example of marketability. So when you guys go to interviews or whatever, right? You're trying to get a job, and somebody will look at your resume. Now, I don't know if y'all in the same age bracket that I am, but I'm a little bit older than my 20s and my 30s, okay? And the point is, like, when I was, because again, I've been a full time entrepreneur for the last 13 years, I think. So, but the point is, when I was in corporate America and I would go on an interview, like, all skills considered the same. Now, what are they going to look at? They're going to look at your educational background. So the fact that I have a master's degree might make me appear more marketable than somebody that has a bachelor's degree or a high school diploma. You see what I'm saying? So marketability in the workforce are those things that's going to give you a leg up. That's going to give you to, when people, if all things else considered the same, if you got your resume next to somebody else's resume, what is it about you that makes you stand out? It could be something like, okay, maybe you speak a foreign language, right? So maybe the job that you work in, again, I don't care what the job is, but if the job that you work is in an atmosphere where there are different languages that's needed. And so if you're able to communicate with customers, guess what? Now you're able to close sales that when you're not on the schedule, those sales can't get closed. I don't care if it's at McDonald's. I don't care if it's at Walmart, Target. Like, at the end of the day, you have to understand, when you're dealing with corporate world, their bottom line, what they're most concerned about is money. They want to make the sale. And so if they don't have somebody there that can communicate, then it's more likely that they're going to lose that sale. And when you identify yourself as being the person they can go to, you're the person who can, at the very least, you can speak to the person. You're talking to somebody who also habla español, right? So like, when I'm at a job, me and somebody else can be at the exact same interview, but because I can speak two languages and you can only speak one, and we're in a realm where Spanish is spoken heavily, then guess what? That's going to bolster how I look to that employer. You see what I'm saying? And then don't mess around and incorporate the fact that you can speak another language and you are knowledgeable about the product. Don't mess around and tell them, hey, we can conduct the interview in this language. So instead of it being an English interview, let's conduct the interview in Spanish. That way you can see how conversational my skills are. You can see. And so when you're able to put yourself and present yourself that way, now that makes you a little bit more marketable, right? So again, I'm not telling y'all that you got to go back to school. I'm not telling you got to get another degree. But what I am saying is, again, this is where that skill set, that knowledgeability comes in at. Know your job too, right? What is it that your job needs? What is it that your job is looking for? Become that. And when you're able to become that, then it puts you above the rest. And so, real quickly, we got yours truly. And again, I told y'all yesterday what I'm doing. I'm having fun because I'm enjoying the fact that my noon listeners are tuned in, because normally when I go live, I don't bring them, but I want to hear what yours truly has to say. So they're going to come to the microphone at this point and either give us a question or comment about this topic of how to be your best professional self. I think. Uh-oh. Yours truly, if you want, you can come back to the microphone. I don't know what happened. We lost you, but you can come back in queue. And while I'm waiting for yours truly to come back on, let me take a moment to acknowledge Johnny. Hey, Peter, you are back. Hey, Inman, Dreamer, Dr. Rao, Cecilia, George, Bernard, Connor, Jason, Teresa, maybe everybody that's joining me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Whether you are on Instagram, hello to Nicole. Those who are tuned in, whether LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, hello to everybody. And I'm going to give yours truly a second to see if she wants to come back in queue. But again, make sure, guys, that if you are really trying to put yourself, out there where people are able to say, oh, well, Susan is really great, like where they can say that about you. Like, because if you're just doing the exact same job that everybody else is doing, here's something else that you can do that's really simple. If you either come early or stay late, right? Because again, remember I told you, average person, if my hours is 9 to 5, the average person gonna get there at 9, maybe 8:57. If you come in every morning at 8:30, or when 5 o'clock get here, average person is gone. If you stick around to like 5:30 because you want to just try to get things done, and you're not even on the clock, right? And I'm not telling you got to give your time away, but just saying that you do that consistently, even if it's not 5 days a week. You do that once or twice a week. Guess what? People gonna start taking notice. Man, every time I come, Cecilia's already here. She got the coffee going, or she done already started on paperwork. Or so these are small things that can really kind of put you above the average person. And when you're talking about leveling up, this is one of the ways that you would be able to do it. This is one of the ways that you're able to position yourself to be considered for whatever that next level is, whether it's a promotion, a raise, whatever it may be. Now, the same thing on the entrepreneurial end, it's the same thing when you're talking about marketability. But maybe instead of you, it's your business, unless you are your business, right? So what does marketability looks like from an entrepreneurial standpoint? We call it, I think they call it now, having receipts, right? So what are your testimonials? What are people saying about you? When you work with Toneal, then what happens, right? So if I have, so say if you go to my website, educatedempowered2.com, and you see this tab. So you will see a tab that says testimonials, and there are people literally from all across the country, all different states, men, women across the country, who have positive things to say about their experience working with me, right? Hey, Sharon, happy Thursday to you as well. Who have positive experiences with me. So they will say, man, when you work, and again, I've worked with people as a life coach and a lit coach. So you don't just have people saying the benefit that I brought to them as being a publisher or a lit coach, right? Helping them to get their book done. You also have people that's like, man, when you prayed for me, this changed this, or when you spoke this into my life, or when you work with me like this. So therefore, I don't have to sing my own praises, right? So, but I can go and I can tell somebody, hey, just go and check and see. Or one of the things that makes you marketable is when you're doing things. So a lot of times, and again, not in a conceited way at all. I'll tell people in a heartbeat. If they say, well, have you done this or that? You can Google me. And that's just it, I'm just really blunt and serious about it, because I've been doing this for a very long time. You don't just have my own receipts. So a lot of times, and so let me share this really quickly, if I have any entrepreneurs that might be listening to the show. You don't want to just have all of your own stuff, right? Like you don't want to be the only resource that you have. You don't want to be the only person singing your praises. So, AKA, if somebody Googles you, you don't just want to be that it's your website, your social media pages, your podcast. Like if somebody Googles me, they're going to see that I have been some of everywhere. They're going to see it's not just events that I host. Yeah, those will come up, but you will also see that I have been speakers and hosts and facilitators for other people's events. If you Google, you're not going to just see books that I've published for other people. You're going to see books that I have published myself. You're going to see anthologies I participated with for other people. You see what I'm trying to say? Like if you Google, you're going to see the fact that I've been on NBC or WTTW or, so like you got CBS. So you got it where there are other people who can give testimonials about who you are, what you do, and the impact that you've had. Okay, we're going to try it again. Yours truly is coming back to the microphone again. Fingers crossed in 3, 2, 1. Let's see. And there we have it. How are you?
I'm enjoying this very, very much, considering I want to set up my own business at some point.
Absolutely. We're going to make sure that you get it done.
I think one of the things I'd like to add to your list really is know your own abilities.
Yes.
Don't be shy. Don't hide your skills and attributes under a bushel, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Let them shine out and be proud of them. Be proud of your achievements, the things that you've done. Your journey, in fact, your journey to where you're going. I find that people are vastly interested in your journey.
Yep.
You can make that, into like a step-by-step kind of understandable story, if you like. But yeah, I think definitely, be knowledgeable, be marketable, especially. Know your attributes, know what you bring to the table.
Absolutely.
Be proud of it.
Absolutely.
Because that is you. That's your niche right there. That's the one thing you can offer.
Absolutely.
No one else
that
can.
Nobody else can. Absolutely.
So that's me. Thank you for having me up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming up and continue to listen. I appreciate you logging in. Thank you so much for coming on to the show and stepping up to the mic. Absolutely. And so again, as she was saying, there are so many different tips to being your best professional self, just as it is with being your best self overall, right? So again, on Tuesdays, we discuss it from a personal growth standpoint. Today is professional development. But and so definitely add what yours truly said. Definitely add that. Know yourself, right? So when we're talking about knowledgeability, not just as it pertains to whatever your business is, because you have to understand you are your business too. Whether you are, and especially if you are an entrepreneur, you are your business. Like I was just saying, like it's I don't want to delve too much into this because this is probably going to be another show for another day. But a lot of times, we don't like to talk about our own accomplishments and the things that we've done because we feel as though that it comes across as being, boastful or braggadocious. And what you have to understand is that when you are an entrepreneur specifically, like if you are a speaker, a coach, like something where you're supposed to be in the forefront, the whole thing is people don't know who you are. So until you start building up an audience, until you start getting a fan base, until you start getting people that can give you testimonials, the only way they know about you is if they hear something about you, and that's probably going to be from you. So it's a way that you can share your experience without coming across as conceited, right? And as she also said, because I'll tell you this, especially when you incorporate social media into what you're doing, like especially on TikTok, like it is huge when people are seeing, because they call them influencers, where it's, hey, every day. I think one of the trends is called GRWM, get ready with me, right? So it's like people literally are just seeing your journey, seeing you. It's not fascinating to you because you with yourself every day, but there are people who will log on, tune in just to see what you drank this morning, what type of coffee you drank, or how you got ready for the day, how you fixed your hair, or even beyond that, when you're sharing your life experience, if something happened to you and you're sharing the lessons learned or how you overcame or whatever the case may be. So never underestimate, and that's the lesson, never underestimate your own experiences. Never, like I said earlier when I was talking about, the marketability thing as it pertains to somebody else. Okay, there's a time and a place for that, right? So if I'm in corporate America and if I am competing against a coworker for a job, then yeah, I need to stand out against that person. But just in general, when it's yourself, you don't have to be comparing yourself to somebody else, right? So if I'm launching my own business, okay, yeah, it is one thing to be said about knowing the competition, blah, blah, blah. But you specialize in you. You understand what you bring to the table. So even if there are 5 other life coaches, there's only one Toneal that's a life coach. So when you work with me, I'm bringing my experiences. Nobody else has the same experiences. We may all have been doing this for the same amount of time, but when you look at actual life experiences, no two people's lives are the exact same. So you then would have to say, well, who is it that I want to have shape my life? Whose experiences are closer either to my own or more so match what it is that I'm trying to do. So anyway, guys, we are getting very close to the hour mark and I don't want to go too much longer, but I do want to thank everybody who has tuned in again, whether you tuned in via Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, visually. Thank you so much. And be sure that you go to the Facebook fan page for Educated and Empowered. I will be following up. If you don't just naturally reach out to me, and this is not just here, also on Noon Vibe. If you guys want to connect with me beyond whatever platform that you are interacting with me on, so if you hear me or see me, but you want to connect with me beyond this, reach out to me, inbox me. Hey, Toneal, sign me up for the newsletter, because like I told y'all, next Friday we are launching the membership program and I am so stoked about that. Like I'm probably going to do a whole impromptu live, and I'm saying impromptu so it ain't really impromptu if I already know I'm gonna do it. But the point being that I don't normally go live on Fridays, so like tomorrow I'll be live, but that's with inspirational talk. That's not Educated and Empowered, that's inspirational talk. I'll have a special guest, Danielle Brooks, who will be talking about his upcoming project, Pieces of Me, right? But I probably will do a live, at least if not a live, a reel or so that's going to explain the benefits of the membership, right? So if you are a person who is really into self-improvement, so you want to improve yourself personally, professionally, or socially, Educated and Empowered is something that you really want to be connected to, because again, what I bring to the table is more than just a podcast. Yes, this is a way that you can see and hear from me on a more regular basis, but it's not just podcasts. You got the apparel, you got the books, the movies, the music, right? So you got the products, but you also got the services. So the master classes and courses and webinars and the coaching sessions. So if you want to do your own personal coaching sessions with me, that's something that's going to be offered here under this umbrella. And then if you want to even be a sponsor of the podcast, so maybe you like what I'm doing and you want for me to get other people involved on your train on what it is that you do with your business, then you're able to offer sponsorship opportunities as well. And then there are events that's geared to educate and empower. So when I say it's so much, and I don't want to, like we've already had a whole show, but you guys will have access to that at a discounted price. That's what membership is going to offer you. But I probably will again do a show where we kind of talk about it, and whether I do it, I might do it Monday. Who knows? I don't know, y'all. It'll be one day next week that I will do it so that way people can know. But if you want to be connected with me beyond the platforms that you see and hear me on, hit me up in the inbox, give me your email address, or even if you don't do that right now, go to Facebook and follow the page. Once you follow the page, then I will hit you up in the inbox and ask you for your email address, right? So this is what we've been doing. And just like with anything else, slow and steady wins the race, right? And so I am definitely driven to do this. If I don't know nothing else, child, I know how to educate and empower. And me coming on here, again, whether it's visually or audibly, this is my way of marketing who I am and what I do. But I want to thank everybody again so much for tuning in. And I hope that you have been able to be educated and empowered with Toneal, where I've been able to equip you with the information and inspiration that you need to be your best self. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, you all stay empowered.